are now entering the horror sanctum.
Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum. And happy Valentine's Day, or Singles Awareness Day, whichever you prefer. I'm Jay, joined alongside by John, Kellen, TJ, and a very special guest, Miss Elena Harrington.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course, Elena has been a member of our congregation since the beginning and is a huge horror fan as well. When we started this podcast, I had a few people in mind to ask to join us for an episode, and she was one of the top choices. And you're our first non-industry guest we've had on the show so far. So that's a pretty big honor, I'd say.
I'm so honored. Thank you, guys.
So with tomorrow being Valentine's Day, we kind of manipulated our bucket of destiny that tells us which movie we're going to do our next episode on. When I put all the names in there, I remember TJ had put 2001's Valentine, starring Denise Richards and David Boreanaz, however you say his name.
Angel.
So, let's just, it actually only took me 4 tries to dig through that bucket before I found that, so it's quite easy. But we decided to go ahead and talk about that episode to celebrate Valentine's Day. It was directed by Jamie Blanks, who also did Urban Legend, which I was a big fan of. So Valentine tells the story of the most romantic day of the year, where would-be lovers woo hearts with flowers, candy, cards, and gifts. Best friends Kate, Paige, Dorothy, Lily, and Shelley are young women looking for a relationship, a Valentine to die for. And this year, they might just get their wish.
Vouch.
TJ, your pick. So grab your bow and arrow and fire away.
All right. Well, when we did the bucket of destiny concept, as I like the phrase that you've coined it as now, it's much better than just the McDonald's bucket. You said to do a variety of films, like ones you hate, ones you love, ones kind of so-so. So I got a variety of films. The thing about Valentine is when everybody thinks of a Valentine themed horror film, they think of My Bloody Valentine, usually the original or the 2009 remake, which is, for my money, the best 3D horror film they ever made. It was kind of on the front end. There's the Blu-ray. There's the Blu-ray, which thankfully I watched some of the special features. I rewatched the Blu-ray this past week. This is a film that come out in that weird era of late 90s into early 2000s, where they had a lot of teen slasher films, but they were usually just right in the line of PG-13. Most of them could have been PG-13. Some of them went for the R. Some of them went down to try and get the teenagers in more so. I falsely remembered this film as being a PG-13 because I don't remember it being super bloody, and it's not for the most part. I think this totally could have been a PG-13 film and maybe would have got a bigger audience back in the day in the theaters at least. But I don't think I saw this in the theater. I was a junior in high school when this movie first came out, so I would have had to awkwardly watch it with someone like my dad, which I did still do a lot. But I remember when this was in that 2 or 3 year era where we had digital cable and we had the Stars and Encore movie channel set up. And this film, as soon as it come to DVD, it was on those channels, no joke, the same channel 3 times a day. And I remember recording this on VHS and just having this all the time. So in the period of 2001 to 2002 or 3, I probably watched this film 15, 20 times just because it was on all the time. And I remember it being a better movie than it is. It's not a bad movie, but I remember I really love the Cupid concept. I'm surprised there's not more good Valentine themed horror films. Like, I know the original director of My Bloody Valentine wanted to get a sequel going and just never could get it greenlit. I'm even surprised that this one never really had a sequel because, spoiler alert, the killer's still alive, and it's a big name star. Probably that was a problem. He wasn't originally supposed to be the killer. The blonde haired girl that gets demasked at the end, who was the one that told the lie on him, and then the beginning of the film, that she, he forced himself on her. She didn't want to be making out with him. She was supposed to be the killer in the original draft, and then it was a late in the production switch that they made it David Boreanaz, also known as Angel or Bones, as some people know him. And the only thing I remembered about this film, because I haven't watched this film and since 2002 or 3, the only thing I remember about this film was that I thought David Boreanaz was the killer and that he had nosebleeds a lot. And I remember the Cupid mask, and that was all.
Yeah.
And I thought Denise Richards was in it, and that was when she was kind of really popular there for a few years before she married Charlie Sheen and ruined her life, as most people who marry Charlie Sheen do.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
It is.
That's right.
It is. Apparently, he's like a tiger beast or something. If you listen,
Tiger blood.
Yeah.
tiger blood, whatever that is.
Winning.
Yeah.
Apparently got my credit card stolen. Charlie Sheen did.
Oh yeah.
I bought a I bought a bracelet. It was like this Charlie Sheen bracelet, and they stole my information. So thanks, Charlie.
Oh wow. Nice.
Oh.
But this film it's not nearly as bloody as I thought. It has one really good death scene with the Cupid's arrow, where the girl gets shot 3 times and then falls over like a 10-story stairway into just what happens to be an open garbage can that shuts on itself as soon as she drops in. I mean, it's like a very elaborate, almost made for like the punctuation mark with a joke on the end of it. Like, that would never happen, but of course it's slasher films. I was disappointed that some of these kills, they don't actually show like the money shot, the moment of the kill. Like Katherine Heigl, you don't really see the throat cut. You see the after effect. The drill scene was like set up with Denise Richards to be such an awesome kill, and then she just barely gets nicked, and then he just like is like, well, I tried this a bunch of times, and she's squirming around. I'm just gonna throw the thing in the water and let electricity do its job. This is such a cheap way out. There was an opportunity for like an epic kill, but apparently Fangoria magazine some time back, it must have been in the early 2000s when people didn't remember the good movies of the 80s, and there wasn't a whole lot, a dearth of good things in the late 90s, early 2000s. They did a top 10 best horror film deaths, and somehow the arrow scene, the arrow kill was made the top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
That's surprising.
Very surprising. This film was written by a writing team that were early in their careers, and they were actually writing on the original series, like the end of the original run of 90210 when they got this job. And they were afraid that they were going to lose their jobs because 20 years ago, you had TV writers, you had film writers, the two never really met. So they had to moonlight as script writers, and they wrote this on spec from a treatment that somebody had kind of given them that knew them and said, hey, take a shot at this, and it worked out. As Jay said, the original director of this was the guy that directed Urban Legend, which was kind of right there in the early period of the late 90s slashers that really started with I Know what you did last summer, and Scream the year before that. It was really Scream started it all in 96, and then 97, Urban Legend in 98. This was kind of near the tail end. They didn't make a lot of this era teen slashers that really got a lot of attention with kind of like TV stars and stuff really after this film, very many. This was like the last big one of that era, I would say, between 96 and 2002. So it's a film of its time. It has a current 4.8, I believe, on IMDb. When I watched this, I thought it was like a solid 6 to 7 on the 10-point scale back in the day. And we're not doing ratings right now, so I'm not going to tell you what I think now. But that's all I got. Lena, tell us, our special guest, what do you think about this film?
Oh man. So obviously I'm a fan of it. I watch it every Valentine's Day. I'm a big fan of slashers and holidays. So, I mean, it just works for me. This and My Bloody Valentine 2009 are the two that I watch every Valentine's Day. Why do I love it? I love it because it sounds like TJ, you and I are close in age because I was a sophomore in high school when it came out. So I feel like I was kind of the target market for this. You know, it's a slasher movie. It's got some heartthrobs in it. And I was more of a Jared Leto girl though. So Urban Legend is one of my top favorite comfort films. So I think that's why I gave this one a chance. And I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. I saw most of these in theaters back in the day. But also the soundtrack slaps. I know my husband would probably say that he would call this butt rock. But Deftones are on the album and they're my favorite band. So nice. Obviously I'm gonna love this. And you know, Rob Zombie, Orgy. I freaking love Orgy still. I remember when Blue Monday came on the radio and my mom was like, oh, this is really good. Who is this? And I was like, Orgy, you know, and excited, just like, I don't know how old I was, maybe 12. I didn't know what that word meant.
None of us did. You know,
I still don't know.
The original keyboard synth player is the lead singer for Edema now, which is crazy.
What?
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, like I booked my buddies, Sons of My Fathers. I booked them in Clarksville with Edema, the new version of Edema.
Oh,
not as good, but he does well for, you know. But
yeah, right those coattails, you know.
And we were all Leto girls, so you know.
Oh my gosh, 30 Seconds to Mars, another favorite band of mine. Even though he's like said to not be the nicest person, I don't know, Jared, if you're listening, I'll meet you.
He is, and I'm going to distract you one more time, but you brought up Jared Leto. I saw him spit in a dude's face one time, and it was awesome. What? So the venue was City Hall here in Nashville years ago, like before they really blew up.
I think I went to a City Hall show. We could have both been there.
So someone was talking shit to him while he was singing, then he stopped the music. He's like,
I remember this.
That?
Yes.
Who is that? And they're like, no one would speak up. So he's all right. So when I'm singing, you can talk shit, but now you don't have anything to say. Eventually the guy made his way up front. Leto leans down, says something to him, stands up, spits in his face, and says, "Get him the fuck out of here." And we're like,
yes. Yeah. Didn't he have like a loaf of bread that he threw? That was from the tour bus, I swear, that he threw into the crowd. But whatever. But yeah, that's kind of the reasons I love this. Plus, they had an assignment, Valentine's Day. They stuck to it throughout the whole film. I mean, like we were saying with the arrow kill. I mean, how spot on is that for Cupid? It's awesome. But
the only thing is they needed a needle drop with "shot through the heart."
Oh, and you're to blame.
That's
yes.
too on the nose. Yeah,
I'm a sucker for that stuff. But you know, it was on the kind of the tail end of like that resurgence of slashers. So I mean, after that, like let's see what else came out that year. I was trying to see 13 Ghosts, Jeepers Creepers, Jason X, Donnie Darko, Hannibal. There really wasn't any other like slashers that year. So but yeah, that's I love 13 Ghosts too. Was another favorite of mine.
That's one of my favorites.
That was a good one.
So good.
Have y'all seen the 1960 original, the William Castle production?
Not
Yeah.
seen that one.
No.
I've seen it. Not as good, I don't think. Special effects have just come so far. Some movies are okay.
One with
Yeah.
Monk.
Yeah, I
Tony
know,
Shalhoub.
I know it's fun. Yeah, I saw that one in the theater.
Well, so I mean, I will say, like most people that know I mean, not that I like bad movies, you guys. Y'all probably think I like bad movies now. I just love like B horror is one of my favorite things too.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad y'all invited me on this episode because holiday horror is one of my favorites. I've got like a movie for every holiday except Easter. So if y'all have any suggestions,
Critters
let me
2.
know.
Critters 2 is a
Critters
Is it an
2?
Easter?
I guess
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm covered
My
for the
go-to.
whole year.
There's a lot of bad Easter movies, but
Is
that
there
one-
not a good Easter bunny killer? Like
There's-
I'm thinking
there's gotta
Donnie
be.
Darko bunny type killer.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
it's
one.
I would take
there's
that.
one where the Easter bunny has a chainsaw, and I can't think of the name of it.
The Easter
it's
Bunny
like-
Massacre.
Yeah.
oh, I've seen
That's not as
the
bad
the
Not as bad
poster
as it,
for that.
not as
Oh
bad
my
as it should have been.
gosh.
So Night of the Lepus or Lepus, that's one.
Oh, I watched that. That's just where they like do like forced perspective and they just film actual bunny rabbits on a set.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
just like model city.
I'm writing all this down. I'm so excited.
They
I
couldn't
saw
get-
that on Svengoolie once.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Love
Sound like-
Spiguli.
All right, Kellen, what did you think?
So we've already kind of talked about it. I feel like this was too late to be appreciated.
Was this your
Like-
first time watching this?
Yeah, we can just assume 90% of the movies we watch is going to be my first time. Let's go ahead and keep that streak going. But I was just, while you were talking, I was just looking at movies because this feels like a 90s movie. I mean, it's 2001, but it feels like in the same vein as some other movies that were more well-known or well-received. Scream 2, Urban Legend, The Faculty, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer all came out before this.
Mhm.
So all of those movies, have their popularity. I feel like this came too late because it fits in with those. It's got those not quite A-list stars or right before they became big names, but they were big enough names at the time to draw a crowd. I mean, Denise Richards, this was probably right in the middle of her becoming really popular. David Boreanaz was big from Buffy the Vampire Slayer moving into Angel. So there was popularity built in with the actors there. I just feel like they missed their audience. It was
Now-
just a little past where if they'd have came out, that 98, 99, I think that this may have become a little more. I think they may have got that second movie
Mhm.
because they definitely set up for that. And that seemed to be the trend again with Scream having their second movie come out the year after the first one comes out. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, having their second movie come out real quick after the first movie came out. So I feel like they were trying to do that. They just didn't. All that to say, it's not a bad movie. It has its faults, but it's enjoyable. I mean, it's an easy watch for a 90s, early 2000s slasher film. The only thing, and TJ touched on it, you don't really get the money shot a lot of times. And I feel like the way that it ended, there's things that, you can pick apart, but I feel like the way it ended just kind of left it unsatisfied. Like it happened too fast. Like the whole party, everything's building up. Everything takes a while to get to each kill,
Mhm.
but some of them don't pay off. The arrow scene, she falls in the dumpster. Nobody knows where she's at. So nobody knows that she's dead. Gary getting bashed in the face with an iron.
Oh yeah.
They never find his body. The
And why did
killer drags it off.
Why did the apartment not smell like flesh? You
Or
know?
anything.
Right.
Yeah, there was no hint that Gary was ever there. So that doesn't pay off. The building the fear. The other part is I feel like they got the final girl wrong. A lot of times, you build an attachment to the final girl. You want her to make it to the end of the movie. I could care less what happened to this girl.
I didn't even know why he didn't kill her with the rest of them.
because he was in love with her. Isn't that the first girl that he asked to dance?
Because she was the one that was nice to him.
Yeah.
They all look
Okay,
too
okay.
similar. to me.
Yeah, they were all
Yeah.
like blonde
Okay.
girls.
They all
Yeah.
It
kind of
was like-
sucked, you know.
15 years
He obviously
later.
had a type. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the payoff of the creepiest guy in the whole movie, the other JM, that's on the
Jason.
date with Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, Jason.
I mean, that
Blech.
guy looked super creepy. He pops up again in the middle of the movie. They missed an opportunity to bring him back in the end. Instead, they focused on David Boreanaz being kind of creepy and then misdirecting with him killing the girl. But they could have brought that creepy guy back to the party to kind of build on what they were building from the beginning.
Mhm.
First guy you see, he's creepy. They think it's him, see him again for no apparent reason, him just staring, and then he disappears and he's gone. So I don't
they
know.
had
I don't know.
several
things that-
like red
yeah.
herrings in this. Like
Yeah,
like
but
him.
they didn't flesh them out enough
Yeah.
to be worth
I agree
seeing.
with that. Mhm.
I do think that the biggest issue is they tried too much to be like other movies before them. I think the whole Katherine Heigl scene was too reminiscent of Scream with Drew Barrymore. Some of the other kills felt like they were trying to be creative, but they were still falling into that same trap. Again, all of that to say, it's not a bad movie. It's just it's one of those movies that you watch and you're like, I would have done that a little different. Oh, I wish they would have done that a little different. The douchey guy from Van Wilder. I don't know
Yeah.
if you,
Oh, yes,
the,
yes.
the boyfriend.
Yeah.
They kill him, and then the only person that sees his body is the girl that nobody likes. And so again, another death that happens in the movie that doesn't pay off. So
And
on the whole,
the nanny or the whoever that lady was that he was dragging into the billiard room.
yeah,
How'd you
yeah,
kill
this is-
her?
it was I guess it fits for the Valentine's theme though, especially with Jay calling it singles awareness, because the movie just left you with blue balls throughout the whole thing.
That's true.
Amen.
That's funny.
John,
I took a lot of notes on this, and it's funny. Sometimes you watch a movie, you take notes, and then you watch them later, and it's weird. I'm reading them back, and they're just kind of cringe, some of the things I was saying, and I'm sort of having a mixed opinion on it a day or two after. So I don't hate it. Just some observations. The kid at the beginning, Jeremy, when he's at the school dance, that's some of the worst Party City teeth I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, so cringe. So
I
cringe.
know it was like, but I guess that may have been just kind of them having fun with it.
Yeah.
The Jason guy, you could tell this was early 2000s because he's doing the whole rock thing where he's speaking in first person. The score, it's funny, like you were talking about, the music is great in the movie. I love it. I think like the rock stuff is awesome. The score itself, the film score, is like very kind of like Final Cut Pro stock music, because I'm very film score centric. So like I was like, wow, it's like they put all their money in the rock music, but the film score, they were just like, oh yeah, just throw something up there.
I totally agree with that, because it's just like, it's so anxiety ridden, like it makes me anxious,
Yes.
which I guess is good, but I know what you mean. It's like the same sounds throughout the whole film, like when there's tension.
Right. It's like all the stock kind of
Yeah.
film score tension stuff. I mean, it's the mask is cool. I like the mask. I thought it was memorable. I like that it's a throwback to the 80s slashers, like the whole something happens to someone, it's a revenge thing. The kid remembers it's a revenge. It's kind of like that throwback thing. But the problem, unfortunately for me, when I watched the movie, I think that maybe if whoever wrote it, that was probably their intention, was to be like a slasher throwback. But I think they were probably more so just inspired by Scream. I think what happened is they wanted to do something, and then the studio got it, and they were like, oh, we've got to capitalize on like Scream, and I know what you did last summer. And even though those are slashers, those are kind of two different schools of thought. So it would be interesting to see what the writer said about the movie. You know,
I actually just watched the first half of like an hour and 4 minute featurette on the Blu-ray with the two writers who were credited. And they actually knew an actress who was in the first Scream movie. And that was like one of the things that was like a connection. And so I think they were totally taking all of their beats from Scream, actually.
Yeah, and so you can see, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love Scream. Scream 1 and 2 Scream 2 is like one of my favorite movies. But I think the characters you were talking about earlier, Kellen, like rooting for the characters, none of these, this was one of those movies where I was really rooting for the villain. Like, I was like, I want this guy to just like creatively get these people. And Marley Shelton is like the only character that I liked. She was the only one that I was like, the main girl. I was like, well, she's nice, having some bad luck. I was rooting for her a little bit. But it's just, I think it's one of those movies to where I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. I think when you look back on the history of film, especially during that time, it's cool to see them try to do a throwback slasher movie. But I just think, like a lot of you guys are saying, it sort of gets lost in the shuffle. And I think it's one of those things where the pen to the screen, there's just a mistranslation there, right? There's an intent, and then the way it's filmed, it kind of, the studio gets involved and they throw all of their stuff into it. So, I mean, I really did like it.
Was this your first watch, John?
I think I want to say that I saw it in the theater, but that was I would have been like 16 or 17. So I just didn't remember much about it. But I was trying to think about like the best kill. And the only kill that I thought was kind of cool was the girl in the sauna when she like gets slammed on the glass.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of brutal. Everything else that I'm like, what you guys are saying, they shy away from it. So,
and talking about kills, like I'm the Denise Richards one, it was fully set up for him to just jack the temperature up and boil her in the water, and then to find her boiled to death.
Yeah. What did she say?
With the drill, and it was just poorly executed.
Yeah. At the beginning, when she's a child and he asked her to dance, she says, "I'd rather be boiled to death."
Yeah, it was a perfect opportunity.
Perfect opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say it's definitely one of the, probably not saying much, but it's one of the better early 2000s slasher films overall.
Out of all four of them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does have that charm to it. And I would say that I probably like it more. Like, I love My Bloody Valentine 81. I'd probably say I like this more than the remake of My Bloody Valentine. But yeah, I mean, it's I think it's worth a watch. I think it's worth a revisit. And I really want the Blu-ray now because I want to see the behind the scenes on it. So yeah.
So one quick question. So was it the girl that was the killer the whole time?
No, I think.
Or did David Boreanaz kill some people? Because the letters have the JM. They only show her. They show the nosebleeds a couple of times. So was it both of them killing?
As far as I know,
never understood why she was ever in the mask in the first place.
So that's what I was trying to figure out. Because at the end, she jumps out of nowhere, and then like when she sits up Michael Myers style, it's like, girl, why are you doing that? If you're not one of the killers.
Yeah, they didn't do that like in other movies where the person's mouth is taped shut. So they've obviously been put in the costume to be the patsy. That didn't feel like that. Like, she attacked her. Like, she was wearing the costume trying to kill her. So
that's why the ending feels so tacked on, because it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Can we also talk about in the beginning when the killer puts the patient into the closet and puts himself underneath, and then like he's about to get his own stomach cut open? Like,
yeah.
Why did you take that chance?
Right.
And then got
Dramatic
dressed again real quickly. Yeah.
And that stomach was way more slender than ripped David Boreanaz at the time.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that kind of threw me off with the killer. The mask. I mean, the mask, like you said, it fits the movie, but the person's body was huge compared to that mask. So it looked like this tiny head on this big old body.
I think it's interesting that David Boreanaz was never like the killer in the costume. it was someone else. I don't know who played that person, but that was interesting. Because I guess he was filming Angel simultaneously, so he didn't have time to do those scenes.
That makes sense because one of my
Fun
biggest
facts.
knocks is that I feel like we know who the killer is the entire time. Like as soon as we meet Angel, he shows up twice. Like he's the killer. Like where is he? Like he was obviously filming Angel, but I never had a doubt that it wasn't him. And then this was probably my 4th or 5th time watching it, and it's been a while since I watched it. So when the girl was in the mask, I'm like, oh shit, I guess I didn't remember this correctly. And then here came the nosebleed. I'm like, there it is.
Did y'all catch the
Man.
clever little bit of writing where when David's girlfriend, the final girl, is trying to explain away like his drinking problem to one of her friends near the end? It's like, well, he's no angel, but he's not
Oh,
such
yes.
and such. Yeah.
But I'm done. So clever. That's some clever writing.
See what you did there.
I didn't realize this was based off of a book. I'm interested in reading the book, but Tom Savage wrote it in '96. It's called Valentine, and I think it's a little bit. The plot seems a little bit more elaborate. But teen slashers have always been hit or miss for me. This one, the arrow goes a little left with the target, but like you guys said, it's not awful. Like I'm never not going to watch it again. Like it's fun enough, but I do feel like everything's drawn out a lot. Each kill is very drawn out. But the mask is probably the highlight of the film. Like I always thought it was too small, but a giant dude with a tiny mask is creepy as shit. So
Fair point.
Definitely.
just add
Tiny
like 200
mask.
pounds to him with that mask, you would shit yourself.
It's kind of like Art with his tiny hat.
Yeah.
The tiny hat.
Oh,
The mask was just so simple and like old, Valentine's Day cards with that little baby thing, little baby Cupid. Like it was very creepy. It was done. It wasn't done well because it was cheap, but I mean, the effect and the reaction we had was done really well because it is creepy because the simplicity. That's why I always thought Michael Myers was so creepy because it's just simple and like the strangers, the dad and the strangers, like just that bag, like that simple stuff. Like
Yeah.
it
It's
takes the
scary.
emotion out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This emotionless void.
Yeah.
like
I think
said, all the
Mr.
girls-
Cupid had a cocaine habit though. That's why he kept bleeding from the nose.
It's angel dust. That could
Wouldn't
be
you
it.
with that
But
childhood?
Yeah.
like I said earlier, all the girls looked exactly the same except Denise Richards. And for someone who doesn't hear well, and I'm watching while I'm also doing other things, it's hard to keep up. And I'm like, wait, which one? What's that? That was the most annoying part. Surprisingly, I didn't hate the dialogue. Like dialogues usually in movies like that are awful, and it wasn't that terrible. There were some cringy moments, but overall, I didn't roll my eyes. Also,
Given
just,
I had
you
a
watch-
question about the dialogue for everybody. Given the, we're in the Me Too era now, how does that cop and Denise Richards
Ugh.
scene play out now?
Yikes.
I don't
So
remember that
gross.
before.
Yeah.
Well,
That
and
was-
then the bedroom scene,
Yeah,
the
that too.
surprise.
Oh yeah. He wanted her to wax it.
That was
yeah.
that was probably the most
No.
satisfying scene in the whole movie.
Definitely.
Even though my biggest knock against Denise Richards is she looks like a villain, like her natural face looks like a
Yeah.
villain.
Right.
But that was the satisfying moment in the movie,
He has RDF resting Denise face. It's awful.
and that was great casting because all the guys that were douchebags in that movie looked like douchebags.
Yes.
You did
We
not
all look
question
like
who was the
douchebags
jerk.
in that film.
I feel like the one thing it missed though, thinking about it, was like you were talking about how the kills were pulled back. I really wish that they would have had a scene at the end where David Boreanaz reveals and he gets to choose scenery. Because like that's the fun thing about the slasher reveal is when you see who they are, they get to have the maniacal speech. And I think that would have kind of made the movie a little bit better in my mind, just to kind of get him to really play that crazy personality, but be open about it. But
I also, I watch a lot of serial killers documentaries and reading. Erections are a common thing when they kill people. It's like a sexual release, but for him, he just got nosebleeds. That's kind of strange. That was a very strange take on it. But
Yeah.
Maybe he had
with your
ED.
ending, this is how I wanted it to end. After they hug, David is like, get off me, don't force yourself on me, and pushes her down to the ground like happened to him at the dance. That would have been very satisfying for me. But
Instead, he bled on her cheek, and she's just like, "Oh, yes, bleed on me. I don't feel it." The teardrop.
as far as favorite kills go, the hot tub is number 2, only because, like we mentioned, it's more set up to be boiled, which is just, boiled is just a gross word to me. Like, I hate saying that word, boiled. But the concept of what could have happened there is terrifying. The end result is not that terrifying. Yeah. So I went with the iron kill as my favorite kill of the movie. You just don't see people get killed with irons that much. You see them holding them in mobs in Halloween kills, but you don't ever see them use it. So yes. I appreciated the iron kill for me. TJ, which one was your favorite kill?
For me, well, just to piggyback on what you said too, the only thing worse than boiled is boiled in their own juices.
What?
Which I'm sure happens if you're dying in water. Anyway, but yeah, my favorite kills the arrows and the fall into the perfectly placed dumpster, which I guess is outside. I thought those stairs were inside. Who has an outdoor dumpster in their indoor stairwell?
Wasn't it like a stairwell?
Yeah. Yeah, that made no sense. Like, somebody's got to wheel that outside every week for the people to
don't poke holes in it, guys. Come on.
I appreciate that it had the good decency to close on its own once it knew it.
I know. I mean, if I was a killer, I'd be like, "Bamf!" It was a clean kill.
Yeah.
They won't find her for days because apparently
they took out
didn't.
the trash with that one.
Yeah.
You can say they really cleaned up.
My favorite was the hot tub, Paige in the hot tub. And that is because I'm claustrophobic AF, and just like thinking of being trapped in there. And then when he drilled the hole and she's trying to breathe out of it, like I feel that, But it also, when he threw the power drill in there to electrocute her, it reminded me, I already said something about art, but at the end of Terrifier, when he just pulls his gun out, I was like, okay, well, this is how we're going to do things, Last resort, it's like quick kill. That was my favorite.
Yeah, I understand the claustrophobic thing too. Have you seen the movie called 12 Feet Deep? Has anybody seen 12 Feet Deep?
I haven't seen that.
It's about 2 girls that get trapped in a pool at a gym over a holiday weekend. And it is terrifying. Like, there's nothing in the water, there's no ghosts, there's no spirits, it's just them trying to survive, and it's nuts. I think it's on Tubi.
It's like open water if you're stuck in the YMCA.
Wow.
All right, Kellen, favorite kill?
John I think John mentioned it earlier, the shower scene with the glass. It's the only kill in the movie that was ad-libbed. He planned everything else. He didn't plan for her to see him dragging the maid out. It was an opportunity kill. It just, it didn't drag on. It just got straight to the point. It was, that feeling you get when you see somebody get stabbed in a movie that you just feel it in your own throat. Close second would be the very first one, just because it didn't play out the way that I thought it was going to. I didn't expect it to end there. I thought it was going to be something was going to happen. She was going to come out of the bag, think she got away, and then get killed. So him to just unzip it, her scream, throat slit. That kind of set the tone in a different direction. Like, I saw that and I was like, okay, here we go. So yeah, definitely the shower scene. Close second would be Katherine Heigl.
Johnny?
Definitely the shower, but I'm trying to remember now. How did the scammer guy die? The guy that was using the girl in the house. Yes. What was his death? I don't remember now.
Campbell.
He got hit in the back with an axe. He was relighting the pilot.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And which was actually a really good death, because I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Christopher Lee was explaining that when you get stabbed in the back, you don't scream like they do in movies. It's more of a and that's exactly what he did. And I went back to him saying that. I was like, it's actually, he portrayed that death really well.
And
Just
he knows
and then
that
went
because he
down.
stabbed a bunch of dudes back in World War II when he was a spy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was like a real like soldier. That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, yeah, like big British intelligence type guy.
That's fascinating.
All right. So what's our rating on this one? I think I'm going 2.5 out of 5 hearts.
I thought we're on the 10 scale.
No,
Oh, we're not on the 10 scale. My bad.
drunk again.
Yeah. 2.5. Yeah. I would have went like when I watched this a whole bunch of times back in the day, I would have said 3.5, but going back, and especially now that we're like picking apart all the things, it's like they never found any of the bodies. Not the guy with the axe, not any of the girls, not the guy with the iron, other than the girl who may or may not have been a killer with the mask on at the end.
Well, and the cop's face in the water.
Okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah.
It's like
1 out of 10, not bad.
yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5 hearts, I'd say.
All right, that's
Just
fair.
because they stick to the theme. The theme is there. As I said in the beginning, I love a theme. I haven't talked about my earrings yet. I've got Michael Myers that says I'll never stop chasing you, and Ghostface that says no, you hang up.
Oh, nice.
Fun.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Nice.
All right, Kellen.
I'm gonna go with 3 as well. It's got its issues. Maybe if I watched it a couple of times like some of y'all, but just for one watch, it was entertaining enough. Like I said, it's not bad, it's not great, so solid 3.
John.
5 out of 5. No. I would
Best
say
movie ever.
probably. I would say 2 out of 5. I want to go 2.5, but really, probably 2 out of 5. It's good. I think it's passable. I think that the intention is probably better than the result, but yeah, 2 out of 5 is what I'll go with.
That gives it a solid 2.6. So we'll just round to 2.5 for Valentine. So all right, that's gonna do it for our Valentine's special. Thank you, Lena, for joining us.
Thank you.
Be sure to go give her a follow on the gram while you're there. Follow us too. Hell, while you're at it, go subscribe to our YouTube and wherever you're listening to this podcast. We already have next week's episode recorded. So you're going to get the next 2 episodes revealed tonight. Next week, we sat down with Honey Gregory, known as Honey, the mail girl from Joe Bob Briggs, Monster Vision, TNT, the movie channel, and Brian Parkerson, and talk about their upcoming movie, which I wish was called Nosferatu, because that would have been fantastic. But it's called Blood Repentance.
I still think they should shoot for it.
They should. So Honey next week, but then we get to pick from the bucket of destiny. See what our following movie will be.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think this was John's. It's John or TJ, 100%, because I know Kellen doesn't know what this is. But our next movie after Honey will be The Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Ooh,
Nice.
I have
yeah.
seen that movie I've
Sweet.
seen that movie like 6 times.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh,
not at all.
I was like,
Never heard of it
what?
before.
Holy crap.
I was gonna be shocked.
When we start drawing it and it's like Gremlins and then it's like 13 ghosts, okay, Kellen's getting a pick now. You'll know it when it's Kellen's. But that movie, I should just watch that.
I don't know. That could have been either one of ours because we both liked that movie. I don't know.
I've been wanting to watch that because I heard that's a good intro to Giallos. So
It's one of the
I'll have
best.
to watch it now.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's great.
I probably have never seen a Giallo movie, so
Do you know what giallo means, Kellen?
is that Italian Jello?
It's the Italian word for yellow because they're based
No.
on cheap novels that were all yellow, so you could see them and know what they were at the airport back in the day.
I should pronounce Giello.
That's true. Giallo.
I don't know about that.
I
All
don't
right.
know.
That's my
Thanks
rap
for
name.
sticking in.
Giallo.
Also, we just want you guys to know, if you're listening, we're spoiling you. We're doing an episode a week now. February, there's an episode every Monday, new episodes. So 2 guests, 3 guests with Lena here. So I don't know if we'll keep that up, but you're welcome. So thanks for tuning in. Follow Lena. We'll be sharing, your link and your face and all that fun stuff. And thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Jay with John, Kellen, Lena, and TJ. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.